Thank you, everyone. We'll start off with Steve Gelbs.
Andy, I'm right back here.
Thanks, Steve.
Hey, just first and foremost, on a personal level, obviously being in the organization, you worked closely with Carlos for the last, 2.5 years. What are the emotions and the feeling for you on this day?
Yeah, tough. I don't think anybody dreams of sitting in this seat this way, especially when the person walking out the door has the level of character and competence that Mindy has. I texted him this morning shortly after David informed me that he let him know. I said the thing that I think is the highest compliment in baseball that I hope people say about me when it's all said and done, that like, you're a good man who cares about people, who put the organization first. I think those things are real in him. He had enough character and integrity to tell the guy who's sitting in his seat right now, thank you for everything, and felt like a teammate from the first day until today. And he's someone who will land on his feet in an impactful way in another organization at some point in time, and somebody who walks out of here with a lot of respect. I understand to a degree, probably better than anybody, what it feels like to be let go in a season. I've been there before. Everybody in an organization says it's an organization failure, it's our shortcoming, it's not just on you, but you're the one who stands out in front. You're the one who's in front of the cameras. You're the one who's on the top step. And this is the common change that occurs throughout the game of baseball, whether it's right or wrong or whatever. It's common, and I experienced it. I've also experienced it as a player. Bob Brinley in my rookie season was let go after winning a World Series a few years before and had an interim come in at that point in time. So I feel like I've touched every angle of this, and it's harder because of the level of respect I have for him, but he also makes it easier because of the character he has.
Given everything you just said about your experience on many sides of this, you understand full well what is ahead of this team, the position this team is in, the fact that it's underperformed. How do you view your role and what you're attempting to do here now in the near term, at least?
Yeah, I think we're in a situation where you have an incredibly talented group of baseball players that haven't come together to perform at the level that we all expect and they expect. And I think you say, well, what can you do in this seat that's any different? I can't stand in the box. I can't go catch a ground ball. I can't throw a pitch from the mound. This isn't a strategy problem. I think what it comes down to is the best thing we can do is recognize what keeps most people from performing is the burden they carry with them to work every day. And that burden is usually from carrying too much and wanting to be great for a city, for a manager, for a team. And it comes from carrying the baggage of yesterday into today, how you've performed previously, and you show up in the box and you're carrying weight with you, and then you carry the weight of tomorrow and the next 45 days and what it means if you don't get it going in the way you want to get it going, and you carry that weight to the box and you carry it to the mound, and every pitch means more than it needs to be. Guys play their best when they play with joy. Guys play their best when they realize this isn't about strategy, it's about freedom. Guys play their best when you can cultivate that type of an environment. And there's no magic words I get to come in on day one and utter that completely flips the script. It's what we can do to help them feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof in a world where they get bullets shot at them all day long. In the very figurative sense here, making a mountain out of a molehill here. But these guys take it, and it means the world to them. So often what happens is you care too much. So when you get to these types of moments where a manager change occurs, you eliminate a measure of the burden in a way that nobody wants to, which is those guys are trying to come together for Mindy, to be great for Mindy because they care about Mindy. And then when you get to the finality of this moment, then it's past. And then sometimes you see guys play with a greater measure of freedom, and that's the best thing I can do for this group. I think that's pretty much where it's at.
Peter?
Hi, it's Peter Splendoria with the New York Daily News. Andy, what were your conversations like with David, and what made this like a role that you were interested in moving into for the rest of the season?
I love the role I was in. I chose that role. I chose to come out of the dugout. I chose repetitively to turn down opportunities for this. in other organizations. When you turn down the interview, you didn't turn down the chance to manage, you turned down the potential chance to manage. I did it because I think that it's a really special place to be, where you get the opportunity to help launch people towards their dreams, and to see A.J. Ewing as a kid in A-ball make his way across the board to the big leagues. That's freaking fun. It's life-giving, man. You freaking love what you get the chance to do, and then you watch Carson Bench tear across, and you fall in love with the way Nolan McLean competes, and then you get to fall in love with some people before the city gets to fall in love with them, and I love that. So I chose that. I chose it for that reason. I chose it because I genuinely love the people I work with here. I think they're like men and women of character that are proud to be New York Mets, and the longer you do this, the more you just want to be with good people. This is my 27th year in professional baseball, 24 of them in a uniform, a few of them in a front office, but it was easy to make those choices for those two reasons. And the third reason I chose was I got 3 daughters. They mean the world to me. And one of them just graduated, went to college, just finished her freshman year. 2 were in high school. And as much as I loved being in the dugout, I love the freedom and flexibility of hitting some seminal moments in their lives, and didn't want to cash that in. So David was aware of all of those things, and aware that this wasn't something I was running to. This felt like a responsibility more than an opportunity once it was made known to me that there was nothing that was going to change the change. Once I learned that, I genuinely believe that, given my life experience, I was best positioned to help over the next 3 months and see what we can get done as a group. So that was what it was. It wasn't, I can't wait to sit in the seat again. And I think because of that, I'm probably better positioned than I was when I was dying to sit in it at 37 years old, and I was interviewing all over the place, and I was hopeful for those opportunities. I'm not naive enough to think that my words, no matter how persuasive, can change people and the way they perform and play. I can just be part of creating the right environment for these guys to thrive in.
Howie?
Hi, Andy. So much of our conversation with David a little while ago sort of felt and sounded almost like a post-mortem. But there is literally half a season to go. And as it's now out that you're only going to be an interim, is there a challenge in getting the buy-in that you need and not being looked at almost as a substitute teacher?
Yeah, I'm not worried how I'm perceived in there. There's a group of people I have well-established relationships with in there that know who I am and know my heart and know I'm passionate for their success and have very little thought of like my own standing in this. I know that they see me that way. And there's another group of people that don't know me, that it hasn't been my job to impact them. And if you think about the way a Major League clubhouse functions, there's a lot of people flowing through that clubhouse. There's a lot of people trying to be close to Soto, Lindor, Bichette. And I always took it as the guy running PD that wasn't my responsibility. That was not where I was supposed to be investing my time, effort, and energy. So I didn't spend the last number of years trying to win their trust or respect. I will show up every day and do my dead level best to put them in a position to succeed. I will show up every day with the humility to know that I only impact so much. And I will show up every day willing to challenge people. I think that's how you end up earning respect of people. If they choose to see me in a different light, I am not going to be bothered by that. There's been plenty enough people that have not loved my leadership style at different ways along the journey. But at the same time, like, you learn from that. You try to be the best you can for everybody. The job is to be incredibly consistent so they know what they can anchor to as the rest of the season unfolds.
And what is that leadership style?
It's a great question. For me, it's rooted in authenticity. It's rooted in being collaborative with a group of people that are in there pouring their heart and soul into positioning these guys to be successful. It's rooted in being adaptable. You've got to take in new information. You've got to change. It's rooted in respect. The guys that go out there every single day, it's rooted in an understanding of how hard this game is and the extra pressure that are applied to guys that keeps them being the best version of themselves. It's rooted in all those things. And it's rooted in the ability to celebrate and the desire to celebrate other people's successes and to not have a personal emotional attachment to it as your own, because that's the most freeing way to help people.
Tyler?
Hey, Andy. You've been obviously involved in the farm system for a while. How would you describe the state of the Mets farm system?
It certainly feels like a conversation for another day to dive into deep detail, but to give a surface level answer today, we have a number of arms at the upper levels that we're excited about that haven't had a linear path to greatness this season. They've gotten hit around a little bit, and when Nolan got hit around in Double-A, I was fired up because that's how you find out what's inside of somebody and watch them punch back. This level is so tough that you want people to go through that adversity. And so we've got some pitchers there that we really, really like and still very much believe in and think that they have an opportunity to round out the rotation in the future. We've got some young bats that are coming up through the system that are a little bit further away but showing really interesting things. So when you graduate A.J. Ewing and Nolan McLean and Carson Bench to the big leagues. From a rankings perspective, yeah, it's going to take a hit. And when you trade a few away, we've had a lot of guys go out the door to hopefully help the Major League club. That's what a farm system's for. So I don't think from a ranking perspective we're going to be anywhere where we were last year. That's not what we're solving for here.
Bruce?
Andy, David talked about execution versus effort. What will it take for this team to cut down on the mistakes and execute better?
I don't want to just be a broken record here, but it literally is going back to just being present for today. When do you make mistakes on a baseball field? You make mistakes on a baseball field when you start to get anxious about making mistakes on a baseball field. Where does that come from? Making more of it than just the ground ball that it is or the fly ball it is. So I think the greatest way to execute, we don't have a work problem here. We don't have an energy or, as David said, an effort problem here at all. The execution, to me, resides in the ability to play free, the ability to smile, to enjoy what they have the opportunity to do. Those are always the best athletes in the world, where you can get caught up in the state of flow and not think about anything else. Those are the guys who go out and excel.
Laura?
Bo Bichette, a little while ago, just typified this as a team that's kind of still searching for its identity. How do you address the challenge of having them find that identity and that cohesion when there are so many changes in place?
Yeah, I literally gave them a similar message that I'm giving you guys, which is you have one game that really matters in the world, and it starts at 7:10 tonight. Tomorrow's game, what happens in 45 days, those are distractions. It's human to be distracted by it, especially the enormity of it, especially the level of care that exists in the world and in the city for it. It's easy. That doesn't make it constructive or good for us. It's easy to understand how you get in that spot. So we can go out and take ground balls at a rate and a level that no other team in baseball can. I don't think that solves our issue here. This is not a fundamental problem. This is a freedom opportunity for these guys to step forward and to play the game that way.
Andrew?
Hey, Andy. Obviously, with the experience that you had in San Diego and now stepping into a front office role, what experiences lend itself to you maybe turning things around here over the next three months?
You have opportunities to learn throughout life. Just because you're given those opportunities doesn't mean you learned anything. There is a long list of managers that the second time they sat in the seat were infinitely better prepared. I would share some of those names, but then it would sound like I was putting myself in the category of those names, which would be absolutely foolish today to do. So, but I've had them share stories with me, and I've had them share learnings with me, and that doesn't mean I am on a pathway to be like them. It means there's freedom to go through struggle, failure, shortcoming, and realize you didn't die. Because once you realize something's not fatal, you have the capacity to go through it without the stress that transfers to everybody else in the building. And when you're transferring stress to everybody else in the building, you're adding to the problem that I've been talking about. And it is natural, it's human, it comes from care, it comes from passion. So I don't have a magic way to avoid feeling stressed in life. But I've been through it before, and I'm sitting here today, and I've been through it before and realized that the best thing I can do with my life is pour myself into other people to give them the best opportunities to succeed. So whatever that looks like, that's freedom for me to do this job without baggage that I took into the last job when my identity was at stake. And again, in X number of days, there will be a tax on me publicly. X number of hours, maybe I should say, probably already exists. I'm not naive to that, but if I live in that space, I transfer stress to our players. So I will do my dead level best to not live in that space. And I think that's something you learn from going through a fire that other people have learned and capitalized on.
Mike?
Andy, when you sat down to write out the lineup today, was there one person you relied on the most? I mean, how do you go about doing that? It's the first time you haven't been here before. How do you actually execute that, sit down and write out the lineup?
I think it's actually pretty fun to see Bo and Francisco and Juan in a lineup. I don't think Mindy you guys would know exactly what the number of chances he had to do that. I don't think he hardly had the chance to do that. It's fun to write a lineup out with Carson's name in there, knowing where he came from and what he is doing, especially after the first month of the season. It's fun to write AJ's name in there. It's a fun lineup, and it's not one that Mindy had access to frequently. So I don't think that it is exceptionally hard to put good players in good positions to succeed. It's just nice to have good players.
And putting Bo in the DH tonight, was that just to give him a little bit of a break?
Bo's been through a doubleheader, this exceptionally long day, followed by the day after the doubleheader. Most of the core pieces have had some opportunity to get off their feet in whatever way, shape, or form. It's not any thought more than these guys need a little bit of rest every now and again, but still want the bat out there.
Abby?
What do you think this team's identity should be, or do you see an identity that they could work towards?
I think it has every opportunity in the world to be a dynamic offense that puts a lot of runs on the board. It was built that way. It hasn't had the opportunity to be out there consistently. So I think we can surely do that. I do think we can defend the field better than we have. The outfield play has been solid. I have an immense amount of respect for Marcus. He's out there grinding on a really tough doubleheader day with something that most people would just call it a day. And I think that the group was probably going to be judged relatively harshly for that one game. But I do think when we're at full strength, like defensively, like we have a chance to be good as well. So we should be a well-rounded club. Now we're getting a little bit healthier in the rotation, hopefully soon. Christian Scott, be great to have him back. And we got some young arms out there that have some upside and opportunity. I just met with Freddie for a long time. Didn't like Freddie at all when I was the bench coach in Chicago. I can promise you that much. So I'm thrilled to have him and think that there's a better version of him that has come out. So I think we very much can be a well-rounded team and can move forward and try to recapture what kind of was expected of us when the season started.
Just how do you view clubhouse leadership, and how do you as a manager sort of communicate with those leaders? And you especially now being in a different role where you have a lot of familiarity with a lot of the young guys on the team as well.
Yeah, the clubhouse leadership, it belongs to the players. You get to share a vision of what that should look like from your vantage point, but you also have to have some intellectual flexibility to let them shape it. Let them have a safe space that belongs to them. Let them create a group identity that forms in time. And then you just kind of find out what the impediments in the way of that are, and you do your best to remove those impediments so they can go do what they do. We're a team that is rightly probably doubted at this present moment. We're a team that rightly has removed the mantle of expectation publicly by the way we've performed up to now. We can assume those things again. We can flip that script, and they're the ones with the pen in their hands that get to author the story. I don't get to. I'm the one who gets to say something that hopefully galvanizes them to write that story. It's up to them. It's up to them to write that. And it's a player's game. It will always be a player's game. And you're just trying to help them find the passion and the desire to write the next chapter in the story and not feel the weight of the last chapter.
Jerry?
Andy, can you kind of describe the timeline today when you heard from David and how long it took to the job, and then like the transition for you from front office role to, you look pretty energized right now, and back into the manager, into the dugout role. Like, what was the transition like for you, just kind of mentally, knowing that you'd be back in the dugout tonight?
Yeah, I 24 years in a dugout. I loved the flow that comes with getting lost in a baseball game and having one thing that is clear objective every night, and you actually get to be present. There's actually a pain that comes with running the PD space. There's 4 games going on simultaneously plus a major league game, and you look like kind of crazy trying to follow it all over the place, and then you might be sitting at a game and you even getting the counts mixed up of the game you're watching on TV and the game that's going on there. It's like, so when you're here, there's a clarity of vision that just exists. Like, there's only one thing to accomplish today, and that's one of the greatest things about a sport, is the crystallized purpose that you have that the rest of the world probably searches for from time to time. So I am energized by that. And as far as timeline, I think out of respect to David and Mindy, like, I probably stay away from touching on that. Immediately after David hit me today, I will say I reached out for Mindy, and I think I referenced this a second ago, who called me immediately and said thank you, which tells you all you need to know about him.
Joe?
Andy, over here. You just mentioned before that this is more of a responsibility than an opportunity, and I'm just curious why you feel that this is your responsibility to take over at this point here and lead this club.
I think once the decision was made and you looked around at the people who could talk to you guys and talk in front of a team and have some life experience where it wasn't going to be about that person, I think I was positioned to do that. And the things that still ring true to me are the days I'm sacrificing with my daughters and my wife. I worked like crazy in the PD job, but I went home for Father's Day weekend. Like, I can take my daughter to a Broadway show every now and again. Those things don't exist when you assume this responsibility. So there was real sacrifice to me that was meaningful sacrifice. At the same time, it's an awesome responsibility, man. It's an awesome opportunity to be around greatness. There's greatness in that clubhouse. And how many times in your life do you get to be really a part of something great? And I know it hasn't been great, but the individual component pieces in there have that inside of them. And that's, for anybody who has loved competition in their life, like, that's what you're after. How many great guys you can be around and help them be the best version of themselves.
Jorge?
Andy, you guys are 13 games under, 9.5 games behind the wild card spot. What would you consider a successful half season here?
Yeah, being present every single day and winning the game that's right there in front of you every day, and chunk this thing down to 81 individual games. And where that ends up, you have the best chance for it ending up in a good spot by doing that. If you say we've got to chop off X number of games and X number of days and one doesn't go the way you want it to, that feeling of overwhelming shortcoming comes back into the clubhouse, as opposed to, like, there's a challenge today that comes at 7:10, and our opportunity is to be fully present in that with no baggage from yesterday, no expectation from tomorrow. The teams that do that like play with some measure of joy, that can like put the other thoughts out of their head that the world is throwing at them, those are the guys that play the best. And so success for me is getting the team to do that 81 consecutive times for the rest of the year.
And just knowing you're going back into your previous role, it's kind of unusual. Are you completely cut off from that role, from that space? Are you, like, what's this going to be like?
I talked to Andrew Christie earlier today. I talked to Eric Jagers. Like, I am not going to be running the farm system at this moment. I have every bit of care and concern and desire to see those guys succeed. I texted with Jacob Reimer's agent today already, so I'm not dropping that ball totally. And by that, I just mean, like, I care and care that we continue to take steps that get our prospects better, because that's a huge part of long-term success. Look on the field right now and see, AJ and Carson and Nolan is part of what we're doing. Christian Scott as well, and Jonathan Pintaro's done some nice things. Like we have to flood this market with more and more prospects that are ready to play. So I'm not running it. I know full well I don't have that capacity, but I'm still plugged in the passing off of it over these next couple of days.
Andy, thank you very much.
Thanks.
We could grab the Mets broadcasters in the back of the room.